right.
And
So
Jamie.
I think now that all of us are here, the first thing I want to do is just take a quick vote on the meeting minutes um, to approve those so that I can send them off to town hall. Unless anybody found anything in them as they read through that seemed they wanted to correct, um, move to approve.
No.
Any objections?
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Great. So we'll go ahead and approve those.
Okay. Before we move on, I also noticed Stephanie Martinovich
You're right.
was, is she on the committee? Do I list her as not attending?
She said she was going to be here actually. So,
Oh, okay, so I'll wait.
yeah,
Okay,
I'm glad you mentioned that. I actually just moved myself into gallery view and realized I had miscounted how many people were here. So let me just
okay.
check my email and see if she's had any problems logging on.
Yeah, I had to go to Zoom directly instead of using the link.
Yes,
The link sent me to an Outlook.
Yeah, it was Microsoft Outlook. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize for that. I had I had cut and pasted from the Outlook that Sherry
Oh,
because weirdly enough, this morning I noticed that it had automatically appeared in my calendar, but at 8 a.m.
me too.
Mine too.
Right. So
Yeah.
I had this like horrible anxiety attack.
I know.
Right?
And I'm like, do I decline it?
So I left it and just assumed, as I've done other Zoom meetings, that the link would still work no matter what time you did it.
Yeah, I just pasted it into a the URL window of Firefox, and it opened for me. Yeah.
Right. So I have not heard from Stephanie yet. So I will keep checking.
Okay.
And but we do incidentally. Aha!
Here she is. All right.
Welcome. Sorry, everybody might have gotten an email from me like 3 minutes before 7 with the link once again, because the same thing had happened to me. I followed it and it took me to the Outlook. And I realized, yeah, that my cutting and pasting from Sherry's original email somehow carried a link to the Outlook. So anyway,
Yeah.
apologies, but we're all here. Yay. So Stephanie, we were going to vote to approve the meeting minutes that I sent out.
Yep.
So unless you have any problems with that, okay.
Looks
great.
good.
Wonderful. So first thing we can do is first, I just actually want to thank you all before we do this. We had so many great applications, and I know that it was a lot of work to go through all of them and to give it the care and consideration that you did. So I thank you all in advance. We do have notes from both Sarah and Colleen that we can, take into consideration if perhaps they raised something that we hadn't considered. Yeah, other than that, I think we'll start with if anybody has projects that as they went through, they automatically said, I don't think we should fund this project.
I have two.
Okay, Diana?
The first was the 7 Hours concerts. They're very far away. And the other one was the New England School of Ballet, because tonight's the last night.
Yes, I agreed with both of those. Yeah, when I saw the dates, I thought, well, how are we going to get Wakefield tickets?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. And 7 Hours, I agree also. I think that there was little benefit to our town. And I think as we go through and we're finding reasons, that's a clear one.
I hope you don't mind. Like, this is just going to be like, I don't know if anybody's watching me do the well, technically I've moved it over to Google Docs, so, and I can resend it to Excel, but I'm just gonna, like, anything that's given a 0, I'm just gonna temporarily do a strike through, just so I know we discussed it.
That's fine. Anyone object to those two that we just discussed? Not getting any funding. Okay.
No.
Any others?
The one at the Discovery Museum, I was kind of leaning towards no. It's not a huge amount, but similarly, it's all the way out in Acton.
Yeah, that was on my list too.
Mhm.
Discovery.
So that was number 3.
Got it.
I had the idea, because they were mentioned, people from Wakefield possibly having gone, I said it could be funded, but a very small amount. So it didn't have to be, we don't have to fully fund all projects that we approve of. So I had put in there, just to consider a small amount of funding in case, just to keep Wakefield, I guess, as a community that they do offer things to. But it's been, I couldn't tell, and maybe someone else who read it more closely can tell, how they make sure that Wakefield residents know about the museum. Does anybody did it?
Too vague.
Pretty vague, right? Right.
Because what I did like about that was that it addressed underserved populations.
Right.
And I see on Colleen's list that she likes that we supported it last year, but would cut it if there's more like local.
Right. I think
Yeah.
that's a good point. It was on Sarah's list as something she thought should be fully funded. So, but she didn't give
Same
a
with Sarah. Yeah. I mean, same with Colleen.
So I think we put a little, maybe a question mark there, and we can
Yeah.
come back and discuss a little further the pros and cons of, yeah. I think these types of things are tricky when it's hard to see the metrics. We don't know how many Wakefield residents are really being
Yeah.
benefited. So I think Colleen's point of, like, or maybe it was your point, Kathleen, of if there's a similar project that
Right.
is closer to home.
Yeah, that
then,
was Colleen. Yeah.
um,
Oh, I'm sorry. They did have some metrics though. They said in 2021, 33 patrons had from Wakefield had entered the museum, visited the museum.
right. I think that's what I must have seen that
So-
made me think that I wanted to do something, but maybe not necessarily a fully funded project.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 300.
right. That's
Yeah.
true. Any others that you've had marked?
I have some ones that are like question marks, but those two that I mentioned were the only two that I felt like were an outright.
Yeah. Colleen has it's number 7, the historical reflection. Francis Hart. We didn't fund him before. He lists no complete address, details vague. And I had a concern because there was no venue for it.
Yeah, so
That was one of my question marks.
mine too.
Yes, this is someone who has applied almost every year, and we did reach out to say, you need to have more information, you need to secure a venue, and it's still not being done. So that was on my no list, and as well as Sarah's.
Okay.
Yeah, Sarah wrote, same problem every year. He does not address our request for a location and support.
All right. So we agreed.
Is that everyone okay with that one not being funded?
Yeah.
Um,
Colleen also had a 0 for Cool Classics #2. Doesn't include a letter of support. No
I
for the
actually, I
coordination
should have
department.
forwarded that one on. I got, because, I don't know, I guess because I happen to know the person, there is a, um, already a permit pulled by town, by Steve Mayo approved a permit for them to perform on the
Oh,
green. So that
Okay.
concert, I think that concert will happen, regardless of funding. And so I think that one is that's where my fault for not forwarding that information on.
well, that seemed to be the primary concern that Colleen had.
Mhm.
So we won't keep that as a no. She also had a no for the Greenwood School, and yet I thought it was really important. So I don't know how, that's #6.
Right. Yes, so #6, they did get funding in fiscal year 2020. Partial funding, because they referenced that in their application. And I think they might have had to change, they might have asked us if they could change what they funded because COVID hit. So they got $480 then. And I was it sounded like what they were trying to say is we want to try again because we were not able to do this program then, but I couldn't,
Yeah.
I remember I had those facts right. So I had that as a partial funding.
Okay,
Well, if they're able to raise the money to, from the PTO to pay the rest.
yeah. So that's not right. I'm taking notes, by the way, folks. I'm going to be the minutes. I'm the secretary today. So we're still on the,
I'm taking
anybody?
partial notes.
Okay, yeah. So mine is just meeting. Mine are just the minutes.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm putting notes for like reasons.
Good, good. Yeah, because all I'm doing is I'll come to conclusions. The next one for Colleen, if this is okay to go through, I mean, she's got a whole bunch of zeros here. The #9, the Musery International Workshop. She has nothing for that. The application confused her. It confused me as well. It sounded like a great idea, but I couldn't figure out how it worked.
Right. And Sarah also had no funding for this one. So the Moosery has a couple years ago did ask for money from us, and from what I understand, they consider themselves a musical instrument lending library. So
Mhm.
remembered being concerned at the time because I was not sure how Wakefield students were going to be informed that if they wanted to check out, a guitar or a keyboard or something, that was actually going to happen. I did reach out at the time to the head of the music department to say, have you heard of this group? Do you, and he hadn't. We wound up giving them some funding, and they applied for reimbursement, but I don't have any metrics on how many Wakefield students have benefited from their library. That sounds like it's separate from what they were trying to promote as a summertime. It looked like Zoom seminar types of things for learning about music from different cultures.
Yeah.
And again, I guess my biggest concern is how there didn't seem to be a plan for how to get the word out to Wakefield itself. It's,
Mhm.
but if anybody else saw more of that and has thoughts, I'm all ears.
I actually I had that as a no as well.
Okay. Her next no was the very next one, cycle of memory. Doesn't appear to have any specific logistics or contact collaborators locally.
Yeah, it struck me as being, the money was strictly for distribution.
Yeah, because I thought it was timely, it was important, but I don't think the person understood the question about funding either, and other funding.
I agree. If I was very, I wondered what, I was disappointed that maybe the Council on Aging hadn't been approached, or the senior center hadn't been approached to, to be a part of it ahead of time, because it does seem like a beautiful, timely project that could be, or through the library or something that's probably very, very needed, but it didn't look like there was a great way to, again, get the word out to Wakefield residents.
Okay. And then the next one that Colleen has a no to, well, this is just because we've got the two from the Delvina Theater Company, 21 and 22.
Mhm.
And she said no to Bon Appetit. And my question was just, are we going to award two to the same applicant? I would guess that we're going to say no to one of those.
Diana, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, so if we're gonna award one of them, I feel like it should have been the Julia Child one and not the other one, because it's already been accepted and they didn't get to do it. And the other one is because I know a lot of seniors who do not have good recollections of Catholic school. So
Yeah, I'm in agreement, because the letter of support was referencing that this was a sequel to one that they had already enjoyed, the Julia Child one. And so I thought, well, yeah, if we fund something, it should be the one that they say they've been looking forward to. And yeah, I understand why they applied for both, but yeah, I don't think in a year like this that we have the ability to fund two projects to one.
Okay. So should we put none of this as the no? Okay.
Fine with me. Is that okay with everybody else?
If anybody wants nun stories, I've got plenty. And she has a no to the Wakefield Historical Society on researching your old house.
I loved that one. I thought that was cool. And she,
I thought it could draw a large audience.
Right. That is a local,
Yeah.
I also disagree with the idea of something being virtual only to be automatically excluded, just because we don't know what's going to happen with Omicron or other variants. And if
Yeah.
it's going to happen regardless, then
I'm actually, I agree. I think that I'd rather fund something that has the ability to be, online only or in
Yeah.
person. rather than something that only has the ability to be in person, because we don't know, you know. I think that that one. My only thought was, would this be something that it wasn't that expensive? I think is it something that, you know, people could pay some for if it wasn't fully funded? And it
Yeah.
could, and so that's something, you know, as we start talking numbers a little bit later, we can take into consideration.
Yeah. Yeah, because I actually thought if that one ended up
Yeah.
being virtual, it would probably serve a whole lot more.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Living in an old house, that I might.
Yeah. Yeah. And she has no to the duo pianists in a very long.
I'd love to hear what she said.
I'll admit I didn't read all of it.
Okay, want me to, I've got it right in front of me. Want me to give her reasons? I'll do a dramatic reading, okay?
I look forward to
right.
it.
This is to be virtual only, which at this point I'm not supportive of. So we've already talked about that. Also, I think this is a repeat applicant and I can't remember how things turned out for the last one. Not sure when the show aired, and also surprised to see no specific contact there and nothing in the budget to compensate WCAT for the staff needed to coordinate, produce the programming. On a side note, after so many programs went virtual last year, we didn't fully understand or realize the impact those needs would have on our local cable access studio, and that none included costs associated with WCAT's role and didn't funnel any of their funding toward WCAT, which is a nonprofit and receives no funding from the town. This is something to consider when applicants include the idea of airing a show or creating a portion that's a Q&A prior to the show. I'm on the WCAT board and participated in one of the documentary shows funded last year for the Q&A. And there's a lot of work on the part of WCAT that I think goes unrecognized and unfunded that needs to be considered going forward by our council and the applicants who are from out of town especially. So it seems that her primary, I had read this before too, that her primary concern there is the burden it places on WCAT.
And I would add to that that with many residents actually cutting the cord and not using their, you know, they're not using RCN and all the services
yeah.
that host WCAT, it does have a limited, you know, access.
Oh.
So, yeah, I have had similar concerns, realizing that, I mean, I did know that it had happened only because they sent me the promotional materials, but I saw no, like, I saw their promotional materials, but I didn't see it in town. I didn't see anything that would have told, unless you hang out on WCAT all the time on your TV, I just don't think you would have known it happened.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
I sadly don't even know how to access it.
I've never, yeah.
right, right.
I think I watched a town meeting on it once.
Right. I think the better way to access it these days is when they do a Facebook live streaming of whatever they're hosting. That's, you know, if it's town meeting or a school committee or anything like that. I think more people access that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Caroline, did we meet those people at the in May?
We did.
We did. Okay.
They were very
He seemed lovely.
they were lovely. They were, yes. And that's, you know, the hard part when you get to meet everybody and you think, oh, I wish there was a better way, you know, to do this. But it's hard to put on a live concert, you know. I mean, if they,
Yeah.
but I think that's the ability to even live stream to a website instead of asking WCAT to do the work or something.
Yeah.
would be another way. But then again, I mean, the local connection, I mean, that is one of the, reasons that we have for rejecting is if there's not as much local connection as other projects.
Mhm.
So I think that's a valid point there. So the only other one that we haven't mentioned that I would love people's thoughts on, the Arts Collaborative Wakefield website hosting and domain name.
Number 18.
Yeah. It is, we have funded it for many years. Is everyone familiar with what it is? Was it clear? So this is basically mostly visual artists, but artists in town who are part of this collaborative, and they have a board and they meet, I think, in the ACE building, and they have always asked for a grant to host their website and domain names so that they don't have to ask the artists to pay extra to belong to the collaborative. And I guess I guess I feel two ways about it. So I'm on the fence, and I can probably could be convinced either way. Part of me says, well, there are definitely people in Wakefield, artists in Wakefield, who are benefiting from this. And the other part says, it just feels weird that we're part of an operational budget every single year of a group, paying for that. Small, but I mean, and I'm not sure. I think we have fully funded it every year, and in a year when we've got so many asks coming in, I just wasn't sure if how that would how they would turn it around to if it wasn't fully funded. So I'm open to discussion. Yes, Lori.
I looked at it this way. They said that they had these new members or whatever they call them this year, like a bunch of new members. And I thought it's practically free. It's only $155, I think it was, for all those people. So I thought for all those happy people for almost free, that's how I looked at it. So,
You mean that the benefit is going to a lot of people?
yes, that's how I looked at it. Yeah. And local people, local artists. So I was like, yeah, that was on my definite yes.
Yeah, I thought it was worth funding. I didn't know the history, Caroline. So I think that's a good point around the operational budget too. So I don't know. I'm a little bit divided after your explanation, but probably given the amount would probably lean towards doing it.
Hmm.
Okay, I will.
I almost feel like I kind of want to table that one to the end. See how we're doing.
Right. Right. We can do that.
My only last one that I had a question mark, and I wish this weren't the case, is the Pride Family concert, because it's very, very vague. It's 1 of 3 months. There's no location. There's no artists.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and I felt I'm feeling the same way that
That's the HRC, right?
Yeah.
And historically, they fund different things. They ask for funding for different things every year, and they always do their project thus far. So there is some historical,
I think that's why I was so surprised that it was so vague, because it seemed like they had their act together generally.
right. I'm trying to remember. I think that Sarah said something about that, and let me just. It wasn't that one.
Yeah. That was one I had earmarked for partial funding because of the vagueness, but wanting to support the cause.
I think, you know, I'm familiar with some of the planning that's gone into the flag raising ceremony. And I'm also familiar with several of the people on the HRC. And while I was concerned too that, you know, that we don't have the venue, and Colleen said it's kind of vague. I think their track record for putting things on, you know, you've got the MLK and Coretta Scott King ceremony. You've got the Women's Week ceremony that they put on, the flag raising. I am less uncomfortable with the vagueness because of the track record.
That's fair. I mean, I don't know their track record, so.
Yeah, I mean, for 4 years or more, I've attended their those other things that I mentioned, and the planning is careful, and the execution, and they're well attended. I mean, this year's flag raising, I mean, it was raining like hell, and you know, we were still masking outside at that time, and it was still a hell of a lot of people in front of the Civic Center. But I don't know. Colleen said $500. I didn't put any figures in, but I'd want to at least keep that in the running.
Yeah. I agree. I think with the, I mean, it is not out of the realm of possibility if for some reason an indoor gathering is not possible when that week comes along, that they will approach us and say, can we use this grant money for something else, you know, along those lines, or one of the other things that we're doing. And so that's you know, we can either reconvene for, you know, for a vote if that needs to happen, or.
Yeah. Well, they actually had to do that with the MLK, and it was a really impressive presentation, and very innovative that they did last year for MLK, because they couldn't have an indoor event. Yeah, I like that idea. But God, please don't let it happen that we can't be inside.
Anyone else have any that they wanted to discuss, any specifics or issues with? Oh, there's one actually here from Sarah. The number 13, she was concerned that about even though they have historically, this is an event that happens every year. It's a petting zoo, and in non-COVID times was quite lovely, you know, for children to get a chance to be exposed to different instruments. And she was worried that if COVID was still an issue, now we're talking, usually it's in October, so we're talking October of 22. If COVID is still an issue, how would a petting zoo work? And that there were that question wasn't addressed.
Okay, this is funny. I thought it was like a petting zoo in terms of like Peter and the Wolf. Like each of the instruments was an animal.
Right. Yes. Yes. So you wouldn't know if you weren't a musician or had taken kids to one of these. So this is like a here are the instruments. Let us let you, get up close and personal with the instruments, to, touch them, maybe try them with supervision. Um, that's what a petting zoo is.
So
With
it is.
So
Oh,
it is, it is,
okay.
it is the Peter and the Wolf version. It's not like live animals.
no, no,
Okay.
no,
I
exactly. No
couldn't
live.
figure out. Okay, because I didn't know what the hell do animals have to do with this?
I was thinking the
Okay.
same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
I'm so glad that this is a group collaborative effort.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Because I
Uh,
was about to add my observation that going to Smolak Farm last summer, we were informed that you shouldn't pet the animals because they can get COVID. But I guess musical instruments aren't susceptible. At least we don't think so yet. Okay.
and as a, as somebody who is seeing kids, for lessons masked, I
Yeah.
myself am not worried about um, that type of event, as long as I am assuming, maybe I'm naive, but I'm assuming that um, people will still be able to gather indoors as long as they're masked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vaccinated children will be able to, a public event, they will be able to gather as long as they're masked.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
notice that one that didn't have a location.
This one,
The Middlesex concert band.
right, and I think it has normally been in the Civic Center, and so I don't,
Okay.
maybe they couldn't, I'm not sure why he didn't put that down, but Sarah noted that as well. Um, so,
Is there some is there something they typically do to stop the spread of germs in that kind of thing?
I am sure as a string player, you basically just, would sanitize your hands. I'm not
Hmm.
sure. Um,
Woodwinds, not so much.
yeah, I'm trying to remember what.
Particularly
Oh, wow.
brass.
That's a good question. I'm trying to remember. I'm sure they've done things in the past because I can't imagine um, how if it would just be a tactile thing and not trying out the instrument with your mouth. I'm assuming that's what it would be, but I haven't seen that part of it.
All
So
I can think are two words: spit valve.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. My orchestra that's been getting together has the brass right now like way far away, and the trumpets have royal crown, those purple royal crown bags from the whiskey or
Oh.
on the bells of their horns. So they fit beautifully, so that way they're not, throwing their spit out at us.
Oh my God.
It's
That's
hysterical.
great.
Anyway, let me see. I'm just looking over if there were any others that Sarah noted and had concerns about that we haven't discussed. No, but we've discussed everything that she had concerns about. Anyone else have ones that they were either no's or you were not sure?
The only other one that I was kind of a little bit questioning was the at the Doyle, the Pete the Cat. I thought it was kind of expensive for the impact. And it sounded like it would happen anyways, regardless of funding. So I was kind of like, maybe there would be better use of the money, but that was kind of my note on that one.
I had similar thoughts. Yes, because it was so much of the budget.
Yeah.
And That was, now that you mentioned, I didn't even see that one. That was another one that Sarah had mentioned. She said it seemed overly complex and costly for only the Arts Council to fund it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Colleen said, isn't there a PTO at this school that could assist? And she said, asking too much.
Right.
They do mention possible other funding, but that was kind of vague.
And they say the school buses, the town school buses would transport the children, so they must have some
Hmm.
agreement lined up with them. You know where it pulled my heartstrings with them, and I wrote it down in my notes? It said, and these children have had little interaction due to COVID, and I was like,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
exposure for the first time to theater, many of them.
Yeah.
For me, this was a partial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Should we just start from the beginning, I guess?
Yeah, let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
And see, so if we, all the ones that were definite no's, if we knock those out, is there a way to see how much is left of the budget? I mean, how much, from the,
I can play around with that. Give me a couple minutes.
Can I just ask people to make sure that I have it down here? The denials will be seminars, New England School of Ballet, the Cultural Historical Reflection, Musery, Cycle of Memory, none of this, and duo pianist. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, right? Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I have 7. Okay, great.
Okay, good. All right. I just want to make sure I'm accurate in the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
as you're doing that, there's one other I'm curious just to have a conversation about the discounted theater tickets, number 5. We did last year, we gave them their full amount because we had plenty to give and little requests, so $1,000. And the year before, we gave them 500. And so my thoughts this year was sort of similar to the open door connections, or to like where I know they're going to have these offerings regardless, because they off that's what they do. They have the matinees for students and seniors. And so it felt like one that had wiggle room for us if we are trying to, fund a project that is more needing of the money, because this is a well-established organization that some years we can fund a lot and some years we may not be able to, but they do ask every year. So that was just a general thought I had. I'm open for discussion on.
The no's add up to 6,500.
Okay.
Should we be subtracting that from the amount requested?
That should be subtracted from the 12,601.
Okay.
Oh, I went and added up all the ones that we didn't say no to, and it was 25,700.
And do those add up together?
No.
Bummer. Probably something didn't translate on my notes, or maybe I didn't mark off something that we said no to.
Well, Diane, is your figure comes from the spreadsheet, right?
Yeah, but it's being kind of a pain, so I've been
Oh.
double checking
Oh,
it with a
you've been-
calculator.
Oh, okay, okay.
So yeah, well, so subtracting the 6,500 from the total is 25,140. So it's close.
Close. Your number's better.
So
Okay. So at that, if we basically guesstimate a little bit, like the next step would be if we partially funded everything that was left at 50%,
okay.
then we would be close. And that is, again, that's like I was saying last week, that's only one way to do it. I know like the sheet that Sarah gave me, she had her ideas of how much, and they weren't necessarily percentages. It was just sort of a ballpark, 600 out of 1,000 or something. But I mean, my feelings with this many projects is that it's easier to start with one fail swoop of just like, seeing what happens with the numbers when we do that.
It seems fair too, that way, Caroline. It
I like
seems like a fair way.
Yeah. How much would that?
I'm working on it.
leave over if we did? Okay.
This is going a lot easier.
Right.
So we're like $300 over and some change. Like close to 400.
Maybe the
So-
biggest, oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Maybe
go
the-
ahead.
Maybe the biggest requester gets another little haircut.
If you'd like to keep the cat.
What?
Like
Yeah,
Pete
maybe
the
something
cat.
like that. Yeah.
And oh, yeah, you know what? The other one to think about is Wakefield High School Theater Arts. This year, we gave them their whole 2,500 they asked for last year, and they didn't use all of it. I just got their paperwork back in, which is fine. It'll float over to next year. But I think that that's another one that we have a little wiggle room because they're repeat asks, and he'll be able to come up with the money he needs for his productions, and they're always great. But it may be that's a place with some wiggle room. So if we did, like, I would propose maybe doing, I don't know, doing 1,000 for that instead of whatever 50% was. And maybe Pete the Cat being maybe that one being 1,000 too or something.
Sorry, there's a mixed up formula in here. I'm just trying to fix it. Okay, so E33, okay, so E33 plus E35. Are we including admin costs
That's
as part
already,
of our available funds?
so yeah, that's, if you look down at the bottom of that sheet, that's already taken into account. So when it says funds available are 12,951, admin cost 350, that's where we come up with our 12,601 that's left.
Okay.
Another funny little anecdote, when I was, if you go watch the YouTube video where they're showing you how to do the process of denials and that sort of thing, 2 of the grants that are on ours are on their sample. They're using another town as a sample. I was like, oh, that's interesting. They did apply to other towns for, you know, so that was, yeah, just caught my eye. Those videos do make it easy to understand how the process works. So I recommend.
All right, so it's the exact amount right now, without touching like Pete the Cat or any of them, is we got 381.50 to make up for.
381.50. Okay. So before we do much more, I want to remind everybody of that other thing that I talked about of if we send out the denials and someone comes back to us wanting us to reconsider,
Yeah.
then there's 2 ways to do it. We either come together and have another meeting, and you know, fiddle with the numbers some more, or we decide ahead of time if that happens, we would take a certain amount from one project and try to allocate it to those, however many, any reconsiderations. I don't know, because I've never had to do any, it's never happened before. Yeah, so I don't know how people feel about that. If you are not comfortable with the unknown like that and want to go ahead and say, yeah, we should have another meeting to make sure we discuss these things, I'm fine with that too. I just wanted to out that idea.
I had a question about that actually last week when we met. If someone sends a request to be reconsidered, we could simply look at it again and say no. Is that right? And still say,
Mhm.
okay. Because at first I thought, whoa, does that mean that we have to give them something? And I didn't think that sounded right at all. No. Okay.
I don't think so. And I think that, you know, when you go to and you see the drop down of the different reasons that they might be,
Right.
it's going to be one of 2 things. Either this project does not give as much benefit to our town as others do.
Hold on, hold the phone, sorry. I gave money to somebody I wasn't supposed to. Okay, now we're $31 in the black.
Whoa.
Okay, so let me make sure I've got my symphony form here. I just want to make sure I've got the same things here because I didn't keep up with it as we were going. So we have the numbers, the ones that are not funded at all are the
You want me to read the ones I have?
Yeah.
Okay, Cultural and historical reflection of the 1960s through the music of the Beatles. The Musery International Music Workshop. Cycle of Memory. Return of the Nutcracker. 7 Hours 54th Anniversary Season. None of this and none of that. The Duo Pianists.
Right.
Yep, that's 7, right? Yeah,
That's correct.
and that total comes to not
Well-
6,500.
So, yeah, so, and then if we gave everybody else 50%, that comes to 12,570.
Okay.
It's so close that it seems like it was kismet.
Yeah.
I
that
know,
this-
right?
That this protocol we're using is
Right.
like, you know,
Right. Okay, so is there a particular project that we should give that balance to?
For
31 what?
$31? Or should we hold on to it in case we get some sort of weird thing happening?
I think, yes, I think we have to figure out where it's gonna go for now.
Okay,
If, you know, we can like keep notes of where we.
everybody gets $1.
It's gonna be like $1.37. Yeah,
Yeah, probably like $1.05 actually, but
yeah.
That's a. Okay, well, so here's a question. Was there any one project here that like you really, really felt like it had a tremendous benefit to Wakefield and it had like out of all of them, it jumped out at you?
Let me
I found the
see.
Indigenous educational workshops very timely.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say as well.
That would be my vote to put that extra.
Especially for Wakefield.
Yeah, I agree. That was my top.
So 1,531.
Yeah, that sounds good.
can I just say, Diana, your wizardry on the spreadsheet is
Yeah.
really
Thank you.
Yeah.
amazing.
That's
Thank you.
great.
Amazing. Props to you.
So it's 51% for the Boys and Girls Club.
Great. That's I think that makes it really, I mean, it makes it pretty easy to do all of those to do those numbers that well, that evenly. So
It's very fair.
um so I think the next step, so I actually, why don't we, just to make sure it's official, can we vote that, you know, yay or nay, that we approve of this allocation, these allocations, the way we've just discussed? All yays. Okay, great, unanimous. Excellent. So the next thing that we do is send out the rejections, and that is done pretty easily on the website. I think, like I was telling you in the from last week, that you basically now, they just have a drop down on their form. So I rewatched the video today to just make sure it made sense. And what you do is they basically get moved into a pending folder, and then they get, once you're sure, it gets sent out as a denial. And so is there anyone who is willing to, you know, try to pop online and do that? Best scenario would be either tonight or tomorrow, just so that then that 15 days gets started, because we can't send out the approvals until those denials go out and 15 days have gone by.
Let's see my calendar.
So I can do that. either today or tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Stephanie. And have you been on the website? Are you familiar enough?
I'll watch the videos because I've been on there, but yeah, I'll probably watch the video.
And if
Make
you
sure-
have any questions, shoot me an email and I can,
Okay.
we can even look at it together on the screen if we need to.
Okay. Do you mind sending me the 7 that got?
I'm gonna send the spreadsheet to everybody, and the ones that got nothing or have a strike through.
Okay, cool.
Oh, and they're also gonna have no money in them. Sorry.
And by any chance, are there those 7? Are there any notes about the reasons? I bet they're in the minutes, but are there notes?
Yes, I put them, there's a note section here. I mean, it's short, but it gives you the idea.
So this is where I can actually probably at least go to that part of the, just so that I think there are 2 different possibilities of what will be our reasons. And one of them is a simple drop down with no explanation needed, and the other one needs a little bit of an explanation. So I'm actually trying to log on right now just to see if I can relay that to everybody. I think it's actually better to, now that I'm thinking about it, it's on the email, the picture, the PDF that she sent. Let me look at that instead. When you go to denied reason, your project did not provide enough public benefit for our community compared to other proposals we received. That one doesn't need further explanation, but then your project did not meet our hosted local criteria. Those are the criteria that we voted on before. That one then does need explanation for it, and there's a little box in there that you have to write which of our guidelines it didn't. So my expectation is that it's going to be mostly, those are going to be your project did not provide enough public benefit for, compared to others. I think in our criteria, we said we were going to prefer groups, preference was going to be given to groups that had venues and timelines. Predetermined venues and timelines are highly encouraged. That's on our priorities. So yeah, does that make sense, Stephanie? So do people want to possibly get together for another meeting if we have to, to reallocate if we get any of these, to discuss if we get any requests for reconsideration? Is that
Fine by me.
Yeah.
okay?
Might as well set it up. Yeah. Oh.
Should we kind of wait until cross that bridge when we come to it, or?
Yeah, I think so. So if I get I think we'll all get the notification, and then I'll send out for us to meet. Let's see what we need to do. Are there any other questions about anything? me see if
Will you
there's-
guys get notification when I send the denials, or I'll just email you guys to say when I did it?
I think just let us know when you did it. If we go onto the website, we'll be able to, and log in, we'll be able to see, but we won't get any notification.
Okay.
And oh, so the other thing that the next thing that we get to do after we send out the approvals is then have our reception. And so that's another thing that we'll put on an agenda for the future is where and how and see what the town's looking like at the time. Fingers crossed. I may have told you this before, but I'll just tell you again. In the past, what's worked really well is we had our reception at the Albion Cultural Exchange at the same time that the high school graduating seniors had their art show. It was their honors art show. I don't know, because that art teacher has just retired. I don't know if the art teacher that's there is planning on doing it the same way. But I think regardless, it would be great to have it there when there's art on display. It's a nice space to be able to use. So even if it's masked and maybe we come up with some other way to
Mhm.
Great. So if there's nothing
Okay.
else to
And
discuss,
that, excuse me, that's in May, is it?
I think April or May. I can't
April or May?
Yeah. We'll send out also when we send the approvals, we will send a press release out so that that can get told to the community, and then try to post things to our Facebook page as well. As of yet, I don't think we have Twitter or Instagram, but if anybody wants to take that, under their wing, you're welcome to. It's out of my wheelhouse.
And
What are we putting on the Facebook page?
When we have our approvals, when our approvals are all done and we have our press release, we will also
Oh.
put it on our Facebook page.
Yeah, you can send that my way.
Okay, when the time comes, we'll do that. We'll probably, well, yeah, we'll send you a note when we do the approvals. I guess this is another question. Last question. How many approvals will we have? All goes according to plan.
28 minus 7, so 21.
So there's 21.
So it would be great if we could divide those up once again, so that not everyone has to do a lot of work. So if
Mhm.
anybody who can raise their hand and volunteer, and we'll sort of write it down to do that when the time comes. It'll just again require watching the video to see how it's done.
Yeah.
I
want to do it, but I couldn't see, I had to go to the Dropbox link to see all the 28 different applications. So I probably have some tweak. I'm such a boomer. I don't know. I'm probably doing something wrong. But I want to do, my portion of the 21, but I might need a little tweaking first to get access.
Yes.
I mean, I can get in, but I couldn't see each applications.
Okay. Yep. Happy to help you.
I guess I have one more. So when do we send the approvals? It's 15 days after the, so it'd be around New Year's? No. By the,
Yeah, yeah, let's look at the calendar there.
Happy New Year!
Right. So
Today's the 12th, so it'll be like
think
27th.
yeah, we could aim for, depending on our own workload and where we are with, the holidays, we could put it to January 3rd if people are more comfortable with committing to that instead of right, in the middle of the holiday season.
I was gonna say, give us a little bit more time to get the rejections out too.
yeah, and I'm actually going to be out of the country on the after Christmas until about the 3rd or so. So to
Yeah.
help you guys.
Okay, great. So let's plan on that. We'll try to have those going out by around January 3rd. Sounds great. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to shoot me an email. And other than that, I think we've covered everything.
Okay.
Amazing.
I'll send out the, I'm gonna send out the spreadsheet to everybody, like, after we log off of this meeting.
Oh, good, because I will add the, I've got some notes on the reasons for rejections, but I'll coordinate with what you've got down there.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I've got a few notes about it, some other ones that don't matter anymore, but
Yeah,
I'll leave them
no,
anyway.
that's good. Or else I'll make something up.
No, I was just saying some of the ones that we accepted, I've got a couple
Yeah.
notes on those too, like when we were,
Oh, okay.
we were like,
Now,
I don't know.
I do have a question regarding minutes. I mean, I'm a minimalist when it comes to minutes. So I am going to list the denials, but for funding, just going to say every project, but the Indigenous workshop got 50% and they got 51%. I can put in the figures. That's okay. Put the figures in.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I've just got what comes next, you know. Okay. Well, I'll send the minutes out. I'll probably send them out as a draft anyway, just to see if I've missed anything. And that way, next meeting approval might be easier. Okay.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Well, Colleen's a pretty tough act to follow. So I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Great. Thank
This
you.
was
so much.
great. I envisioned being here till 10 o'clock.
Me too.
Me too.
I know. What a group. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Well,
Ladies
thank you
and
all. Thank you all. We'll
Thank you.
all right.